pulpit used to be. It was a wooden pulpit, so it got taken out by the 79 fire.
Right.
But Barbara Coulson was the church's cleaner for 50 years, so she was memorialised inside. But unfortunately, her husband's name is on the other side, and it's cemented to the wall permanently.
Oh, right.
Oh, I'm getting mixed up because it says Coulson, doesn't it? I'm looking at that one outside before, Collinson or something, the Reverend Collinson or something like that.
Similar names, aren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very rare to find.
I've got to say, this is fabulous.
It's lovely, isn't it?
So, as we were talking about the break fire, I'll bring you on here.
I'm very emotional, I'm getting emotional.
You know the warehouse that was full of explosives?
Yes.
That was called the Bertram Warehouse, and that was owned by Charles Bertram at one point in time. And Charles is memorialised in here because just before the explosion at 3 a.m. on, I think it was a Friday, the 6th of October.
Our wedding anniversary.
Oh, it is, 6th of October.
Yeah. So he was walking up the steps, up the ramp here with the Mayor of Newcastle at the time. And Charles offered the mayor some snuff from a silver snuff box just when the explosion went off, and the mayor dove under a gun carriage and was safe from the fire, safe from the explosion. He came out just a little bit sooty. Charles Bertram was identified only by his silver snuff box.
Oh,
So the explosion,
so there's nothing left.
nothing left. Thankfully, they didn't put that on the plaque, though, because some Victorian graves can get very specific about how somebody died, can't they?
Yep.
It's absolutely lovely in here. Look out window. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is one of my favourite things here too. It took him 3 years to make.
3 years.
Yeah, and it's made entirely of matchsticks.
Uh-huh.
And it was made in 1978, and the most common use for matchsticks at the time was to light your cigarette. But Harry didn't smoke, so he put jars at the on the bar of all of the local pubs to him, and people donated their matchsticks, so he collected them all.
All right.
So it's a community project in a way.
Wonder how many you used.
Oh, that's the
Quite
one
a
bit of
few.
information we don't have.
Quite a few.
But yeah, because this was made in the 70s before the fire, it shows us what the building looked like before all of the timberwork was destroyed. And this roof comes off as well, so you can see the altar.
Oh, it's nice,
Oh,
isn't
right.
it?
So would that have been that, but you sure someone came in? No.
So
Oh, no, the
this
altar.
will be this
Aye.
space up here,
Right.
but things have been moved around a lot. So the plaques along the top there were moved there in the 1990s by Phillips Auctioneers, and they're permanently cemented in as well, unfortunately. But Phillips Auctioneers took a lease on the building, and they added a mezzanine floor and whitewashed all of the walls as well. So I'm not sure how much the council were paying attention to what they were doing with a Grade 1 listed building.
Definitely.
Yeah. So thankfully we were able to remove a lot of the whitewash and took out the mezzanine floor, so it currently looks as close to what it did before
Why
the
do
fires.
that? Why whitewash? It's lovely
I know,
stone, you know what I mean?
exactly, and some of it is very precious stone as well. So the black slab there that kind of looks like a lintel. I'll take you over there before we go to the one bit. As we get closer, it becomes clearer. But there's a sword carved into the stone that extends along.
Right, I can see that now.
Yeah, and we think that this is Anglo-Saxon, but I think if it hadn't been whitewashed, maybe we wouldn't have this flaking off.
Right.
That we do.
Yeah.
Right.
shame.
That's terrible, that doing that.
It is.
But the stone's amazing.
Yeah, and I do like how in some places you can spot that it's just regular brickwork. So you can see how it's been reconstructed after the fires. It really puts across the message that the building is a
Is that my eyes? Is
survivor.
that sticking out a bit further there?
Yeah, it is.
And this pillar is wonky as well, so that's also not visualised. So you can see it kind of curves, whereas the rest are straight up.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, you can.
I wouldn't notice any of this.
So, as far as we know, that was just a fault in construction. But the old roof, there was a story that it was kind of crooked along its spine. And the story was that it was meant to signify the broken body of Christ on the cross. But then other records say that it was just built poorly. So they kind of reverse engineered.
It sounds better the other way.
Exactly. But do you know about the twisted spire in Chesterfield?
Well, my son lives there, so
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've seen pictures of it.
I'm from Burton originally.
Right.
So whenever I'm going home to my family, I like going past it and seeing it. But yeah, that was poor construction.
Right.
But it's been made iconic, hasn't it? It's kind of
Well, you couldn't change it now.
exactly. But it's become like a local landmark because it was built badly.
Right. I thought it might be built all right and then things went wrong or something, or the
I
weather
think-
or something, or the wind or something that
Yeah, I think it did
twisted
walk.
it, or
I think it walked over time, but it was because of
how it was
poor
built.
construction.
Right.
Yeah, so it should have been able to withstand a bit of bad
They
weather.
chose the wrong builder.
Yeah. So I'll bring you through to this bit, and the other bit that I like was the layers of the arches. that
Oh,
have
I can see
been
what
added. Yeah. So the kind of reconstruction that's had to happen over time.
So this arch would have been bigger
Yeah.
originally.
So it's really nice to see visible traces of that, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a building that pretends to be perfect.
No.
You kind of can see the changes through the years. So this area particularly is why the building is Grade 1 listed. We think it probably would have been Grade 1 anyway, with it being Gateshead's only church for so long. But this is a surviving Norman arch.
Right.
So you're looking at 11th to 12th century. So it's really impressive that this part has withstood.
It was built to last.
Exactly. So,
Fabulous.
It's amazing.
yeah. These were the grave markers that I was on about earlier. These would have originally been horizontal, either inside the church or just outside the
Outside.
church grounds, because gravestones were more of an 18th and 19th century phenomenon. So before that you just see wooden markers and things like that. But these are, as I say, 13th and 14th century.
And
These-
you said something before about the shears, didn't you?
Yeah, so these are the shears. So it suggested that it might belong to a woman because textile work was feminine at the time. But one of our visitors pointed out this bird carving that I'd not noticed before the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I would see the
You
beak.
see the
Yeah.
You see the beak and
and
the eye.
and
The
then
eye.
as it comes down. But because that's much more shallow, I think that that might have been added later by someone who wasn't a mason.
Right.
Right.
And I really enjoy the unofficial additions to history, I suppose. Kind of 700-year-old graffiti.
Amazing when you think,
I've
isn't
never
it?
seen that bird. I can see it now when you pointed it out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I haven't been told about it before. But once it's pointed out, you can start to see more detail, can't you? Like the kind of feathers behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the legs.
I want to know what kind of bird it is. No,
If you give me a couple of weeks, I'll find out.
well, I haven't got one of them in the garden, so...
Yeah.
No.
And this is a similar example that we've also been told might belong to a woman because of the key.
Yeah, I thought I keep
And
it.
the key is used as a symbol of marriage, so a married woman. And the fish, as far as we
Is that
know.
a fish?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what type of fish. The fish might refer to either the trade of the person, so women worked on the fish quays in the
Yeah.
local area,
Cooking the fish and
gutting the
Yeah.
fish and getting it ready for sale. Or it might refer to the loaves and fishes Christian story
Right,
as
yeah.
well, to give an indication of the values of the person remembered here. But it must have been very expensive at the time to get this amount of stone carved. So you start to think whether the person maybe owned a few fishing boats rather than gutting fish on the time.
Yeah, true.
It's marvellous how we're here now in 2024.
Exactly.
Talking about, I wonder what they would have thought all those years back, what it was being talked about, even though you don't know who it is.
Yeah, I think, and that's why I want to find out about the accused witch in the driveway as well, because her bones were examined, we know the condition of every one of her bones to minute detail. We can tell her age, her gender, and the kind of work she would have been performing.
Right.
But all we know other than that is what she was convicted. She was convicted of a crime that she couldn't have possibly done, and we don't know her name. So I really want to try and find out her name. But sometimes I do sit and think that 300, 400 years later, I'm sat here trying to find out what happened to her.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just the last bit that we've got on display at the moment are more 14th century grave slabs. These were pieces that were found during the excavations in 1999. We did find a lot more actually under the road outside. There were pieces of gravestones that had been used to fill in the ground and to cover with cobbles. So things that have been able to be salvaged have been brought inside. And we're hoping to have more on display soon because we have some findings that we need to be categorised and labelled.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
So, because outside here, isn't there, is there some stones out here? Was that
from the Great Fire.
Oh yeah.
Was that the ones from the fire?
So I can show you on the way out if you like.